Okay, so tonight, if you don't mind, I'm going to do the opening prayers, and then we're going to go into a little bit of a talk of the King of Aspiration prayers. Newman, how are you?
Hi, Lance. How are you? I'm good. Thank you. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Did you get the email and print out the King of Aspiration prayers?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, good. Thank you.
Sorry, it's a little late. I'm trying to turn off my video.
Okay. How are your family doing? The kids are doing good?
Yeah, they're good. They're fantastic.
Good.
They're doing very good.
Wonderful. Well, good. Good to see you.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, good to see you too. I'm trying to catch up with you guys, so hopefully I can follow the whole session. But if I can, I think I'll just join you guys as much as I can.
Very good. Thank you.
How are you, Lance? You guys all good?
Doing well.
Okay, great.
So we're going to start. So everybody has their prayer book, and if we start on page 1, and everybody please turn off your microphone so we don't create feedback and so on. And we begin with the altruistic motivation. So join me in reciting this. We'll do it twice in English, once in Tibet where it's indicated as such. All mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me. Michael, turn your microphone off, please. All mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dangwar je pe dra no par je pe ge. Tarpa dang tam she ken pe bar du jo par je pa tam she ki so je pe. Ma nam ka dam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dug now dang drel nor du la na me pa yang dag par zog pe zhang zhu brin po she to pa sha. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Deshe du sang ma ge gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Ma she bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Du de ring ne song te ni ma sang ta sam gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage Llamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage Llamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Transcend Sawa Dangur Parje Pe Pal Dan La Ma Dam Pa Nam La Kap Su Chi O. Yedam Kilgore Gila Sok Nam La Kapsu Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio. Dampe Cho Nam La Kapsu Chio. Pakpege Dun Nam La Kapsu Chio. Pawo Kadro Cho Kyong Song Mei Song Yeshe Gi Chang Dang Demba Nam La Kapsu Chio. We're on page 4 in the prayer book, taking the Bodhisattva vow. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Shangju Ningpo Chikiba Sangye Namla Kapsu Chi Chodang Shangshub Stampayi Soklang Deshin Kapsu Chi Jitar Nongi Deshegi Shangshub Tugni Kepadang Shangshub Sempe La Pala De Dagrim Shen E Pata De Shindro La Pendandu Shangshub Samni Kegishin De Shindu Ni La Pala Rimpa Shindu La Pajio. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Soki Chonamla Shangju Baidu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Jinsoki Pe Sonamgi Drola Penshir Sangye Jupasho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yampe sem chen tam she de wadang de we gurdang dempar jorchi. Dug now dang de now gi gudang drel war jorchi. Dug now me pe de wadang mi drel war jorchi. Ne ring jagdang ni dang dwell wei tang namla ne pa chi. Tonight, please turn to page 12. This is the Sagarmati requested sutra. So this is a special prayer that I should recite every day that we do teachings. So follow along with this, please. We'll just do the English. Likewise, be extinguished. Be extinguished all enemies to my purpose. Whatever evil forces are in me, be destroyed, be defeated. Do this so that when I am victorious, all pure radiance melts into me, completely purified. Take all this knowledge, food and drink peacefully, enjoy it and be satisfied so that all obstacles may be destroyed. Be liberated from all obstacles, all general obstacles. Maras are defeated by this gesture of the Buddha. By reciting this mantra, may all the Maras be purified. As a result, may all the Maras be defeated. Thank you very much. So tonight is the first night of a new cycle of our 8-week teachings. So appreciate everybody being here. And we're going to make this a cycle of application. We've been talking a lot about the different philosophy. We've been talking a lot about the doctrine. We've been talking a lot about the what of Buddhism, of the Dharma teachings. And then we've also mixed in with that, we've been talking a lot about the why that we do things. And this past cycle, we talked about the stages of meditation, which is how to apply those doctrines and those teachings and so on, and why, and maybe we've seen some results. So continue on. In the envelope that I sent everybody, Newman, you did not get that. I can send it to you. But in that envelope, where is the outline for the chapter 6, which was the last chapter that we covered in the stages of meditation, the chapter on shamatha, calm abiding meditation. So you can refresh your memory with that. And also included in there was the guide that we used last week for a meditation process, what it all includes, the different stages. There are stages that come after this, but at our level right now, who we are, where we are in our stage of being a beginner and so on, we need to really be stable in this part before we really go to the next part of the stages of meditation. So I think you have all the information you need. If you need to go back to the YouTube, everything's been recorded. If you have questions, we'll be happy to answer whatever questions we can for you to help you and everything. So now, it's up to you to apply this. I know many of us are here because we had a curiosity about Buddhism. We had an intellectual curiosity that wanted to be satisfied and so on. And that's the what and the why. And now, is this how portion of how to actually be on the path to recognize oneself, their Buddha nature, to see that we are all Buddha and so on. So that part is incumbent upon doing these practices, doing the meditations and so on. So I hope that you feel prepared to be able to begin to do that in whatever way you can, even if it's just a few minutes each day, to make the effort to start doing that.
Yeah, got you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
You're welcome. So now the next part of this how and why is prayer. And what is prayer? So I'm sure, there's, 12 or 15 people with us right now. And I'm sure, if we went around and asked somebody about what what they thought prayer is. I was going to get 12 different answers or so on. So for us, prayer is an appeal to oneself of remembrance. So we're taking out any other religious ideas about what prayer is. We're using prayer as an appeal to oneself for our own remembrance of what our teachings are, what our practices are, and so on. So we just went through these opening prayers, and these opening prayers were to give us motivation, to give us aspiration, to continue with whatever practice we're going to do, whatever teaching we're going to partake in, and so on like that. So it is a prayer of remembrance for ourselves as to why we are doing this. So generally there are aspiration prayers to do these things, and there are prayers of dedication, where at the end of our practices that we are taking whatever wisdom and merit that we have accumulated, and we're dedicating that to the enlightenment of all sentient beings. So that's a dedication prayer. Yes, William.
When you say self, what do you mean by self?
I mean, your temporary self, the thing that you call William and I call Lance, and we all have our names.
Okay, so that's not the quote unquote self, higher self.
We're trying to get there. We're trying to get there.
To the higher self?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so are we praying now to the higher self, or to
No,
just...
we're praying to ourselves, to our lower self, to our ordinary self, to remember what it is to develop our aspiration.
Okay.
Okay, it's a fair question. I'm glad you asked the question. So these aspiration prayers in Tibet, the word is called a munlam, M-O-N-L-A-M, munlam. And a munlam is an aspiration prayer. And there are great munlams that they have where many, many Buddhists all get together at one time to, and usually they do this once or twice a year as a prayer festival to really bring their aspirations together to be able to empower themselves and all other beings, because these prayers are going out to all other beings as well, to be able to motivate them to be able to recognize the light that is within all of us. So this aspiration prayer is what we're focused on now. So tonight we're going to look at this, the king of all these prayers, the king of the aspiration prayers. So this king of aspiration prayers, you have a copy of it, is a syllabus, is an outline of the teachings and proper actions to prepare oneself as an aspirant of Buddhahood. So I'll say that again. This is a syllabus. This is an outline. This is a program that is for the teachings and for the proper actions of those teachings to prepare oneself as an aspirant to recognize your own Buddha nature, your own Buddhahood. So what we're doing is we're engaging in this power of prayer. This prayer is, again, a remembrance to ourselves. So it's not a practice. It's, may I do this? I aspire to do this. I want to do this. I need to do this. All these different things are incorporated in an aspiration prayer. And this prayer that we're about to do is the king of those prayers. How is it why do we call it the king of prayers? Way back when, in the time of the Buddha, that he would go into very deep meditations. And during these meditations, he would, I'm going to use this new agey word, that he would channel these aspects of Buddha nature. It's like the aspects of the diamond that I've referred to so many times, like the bodhicitta, the different aspects. And they all have different names, and they have names like Amitabha and Amagog Siddhi and Vajrasattva and Shenrezig and Manjushri and so on, all these different names that are characteristic of their enlightened qualities, their activities that are being actualized, that are being brought out. So the Buddha Shakyamuni would go through this process for 50 years as he was going around the countryside of northern India, giving teachings and so on like that. And he would lead these meditations, and he would go into these deep meditations, these samadhis, and he would channel these deities. And as he would do this, people would be following him, and they would be remembering this. They weren't writing it down. It was before they had a written language for Sanskrit, because he was teaching in Sanskrit, but his closest followers, his disciples, were very intelligent, and they were remembering this. And they would question each other about, what did the Buddha say? And they would correct each other. And so they had a real consensus on what was being said here. So the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, was more or less telling these stories, was creating these images in people's minds of how to become an enlightened being. So all of the collection of these stories are called the Sutras. You've heard the word Sutras. The Sutras are like the Gospels that we're familiar with in Judeo-Christian, that are in the Bible. These are the literal sayings of the Buddha, the Sutras. And they're written down, and there's many volumes. There's 108 volumes, depending on who's counting. There's 100 volumes, 108 volumes of these sutras, that many of them are being translated in English. They've been translated in Chinese and Pali language and some different languages and so on. And there's a number of translation projects that are ongoing now that are translating these into English. And they're very, 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 very powerful. They're very beautiful. They're very flowery in the way that, descriptions are made and so on. But very worthwhile to make a study of. So this particular king of aspiration prayers is embedded in one of the sutras, which actually is like a continuing story, which is it's like a whole composite, if you will, of all the Buddha teachings in this one sutra. It outlines everything, and it's several hundred pages thick and so on. And this particular part is the last part of that. It's like the summation of that whole sutra teaching that came down through the Buddha. So we're going to go over this bit by bit. We're going to read the whole thing tonight, and we're going to read the whole thing every night for the next 8 weeks. And we're going to kind of dissect it, with great depth. I'm not qualified to be able to go into a great depth about it. We're going to be talking about the outer meaning and maybe, a little bit of the inner meaning and so on. and I'll be able to tell you maybe some of my experience with it and so on. But you'll see that what this is the prayer for good actions. We are inspiring ourselves for good actions. And it's going to be spelled out very clearly for us in this. So it's very powerful. We're in the midst right now of reciting this every day and accumulating this every day as part of the teachings that my teacher, Drupal Tinling Ningpo, has organized for starting back in the springtime. He went through explaining this in great detail. And it is available on YouTube. If you want to go back and hear all the different 2-hour meetings that he had on Sundays explaining this and so on. So like I said, I'm not going to be able to go to that level of depth, but I can certainly introduce it to you. I asked permission to be able to do this. And he said, it's wonderful and you should do this. And actually the permission is given in the prayer itself. So you'll see how this works. This prayer is actually the culmination of a story of this young man who was a seeker. And he was going around, he wanted to find how to become enlightened. And he was going to all these different teachers, asking them, give me a prayer, give me a teaching, show me how to attain enlightenment. And as he went through these, he was learning more and more and more stuff about the Dharma. And he was getting higher and higher and higher in his consciousness level, his awareness level, as he was doing that and so on. So he was doing this in the way of Manjushri. Manjushri is one of the 8 great bodhisattvas. And maybe I've explained this to you before, that there's 8 great bodhisattvas who are like the spiritual sons of the Buddha. And he is the bodhisattva of wisdom, of knowledge, of the temporary phenomenal life that we know, the world that we know, but also of the spiritual knowledge, the spiritual wisdom, the wisdom of Dharmakaya, the wisdom of the Buddha. So the story takes place that Norzang, who is the fellow who is the being, who is the seeker, who is going around, is being like Manjushri, and is going to and as Manjushri is going to all these teachers and asking for prayers and teachings. And he's going, and he goes through 100 of these teachers, and he accumulates 100 of these prayers and so on. And then finally, he gets to Samantabhadra. Samantabhadra is a bodhisattva. So he is a brother to Manjushri, one of the great bodhisattvas. And Samantabhadra is like the first of the bodhisattvas. It's like the first of the bodhisattvas. He's the all good one, the all beneficent one is what his name translates to be. All beneficence. And it's through him, it's through when he reaches the level of Samantabhadra that he receives the king of prayers. And that's what this prayer is. So it's coming through as a result of Norzang going around trying to get these teachings. And as Manjushri, and then finally he finds Samantabhadra, or Samantabhadra reveals himself because Norzang has purified himself, has gotten to that point to be able to recognize Samantabhadra's teachings. And then all this is manifesting, you see, through the meditation of the Buddha Shakyamuni through in the sutras. So it's very profound, it's very sacred, very holy, and very transformative, as I hope you'll see. So does anybody have any questions or comments before we go any further? Okay. Okay, so this prayer, if you go to this text that I sent you, so it says on the front page, it says this is the king of aspiration prayers, Samantapadra's aspiration of good actions. So it's like in the voice of Samantapadra, as if he were reciting this to us. And it's called the Zangcho Munlam. So the Munlam is an aspiration prayer. And Zangcho is a great aspiration of Dharma. And it comes from the Gandyudevaha chapter of the Avatamsaka Sutra. So that's the name of the sutra and the part of that sutra that this comes from. So, it's very important in the Tibetan tradition, and I'm sure maybe the Hindu tradition and or rather the Indian tradition and other traditions, to give a provenance of where this comes from. It's one of the things I'm not very good at in being able to do, and I need to work on that. But to be able to say from what authority this comes. So this prayer is broken down into sections, and you can see the blue writing there. We're not going to recite the blue. We're going to continue and just read the black text. But the blue here is indicating us these sections, and it's good to have a context of where all this is coming. So first is a homage that we recite to Manjushri, the youthful. Manjushri is the bodhisattva of wisdom, and youthful because he is like this seeker, this young man who is going around to all these teachers asking for the teachings and the prayers to attain enlightenment. So we're paying homage to him. So then comes the 7 preliminaries to purifying the mind. So these are the 7 preliminary practices, or the 7-limb prayer that we've recited many times in our practices and so on. That's what this is. So we're purifying our mind by reciting this. So then once we do that, then we're ready for the actual aspiration. So this actual aspiration then is broken down into 16 different aspirations that we go through. And then some of those aspirations are further broken down into categories. And I'm telling you this so that you can understand that there's this organization. It's a very erudite, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a very scholarly approach to being able to do this that I think that anybody in a high school level or a college level would certainly appreciate this for its thoroughness and its organization. So we go through these 16 aspirations. And then we get to the point where it's the extent of the aspiration. What is the extent of this? What is the scope of this? What is the breadth of this? And that's just a very short stanza, but it incorporates so much. And then it tells us of the benefits of making the aspirations. It goes into that, tells us not just what these aspirations are, but what the benefits of these aspirations are. And this gives us a guidance to be able to see the transformation that's happening in our lives, how we are approaching these good actions and actualizing these good actions in our daily behavior. So the benefits of making applications. And then finally comes the next part of a prayer, and that is the dedication prayer. Here is the dedication of the merits of this meritorious aspiration. So we're dedicating that. We're making Monlam, we're making the aspiration prayers, and then we are doing the dedication for it. So this is so complete. This is so magnificent. This is why it's called the King of Prayers. In Buddhism, this is called the King of Prayers. There is no prayer greater than this. So, to get ourselves started with this, I'd like to get everybody involved as much as possible. So I haven't counted everybody, but what I think what we should do, and we're going to do this over the course of the next 8 weeks. So everybody's going to get a chance to do this. So if you get it omitted tonight, not to worry, you'll have another time to be able to do this. So, but what I would like to do tonight is, Tom, will you read page number 1? Okay. And then Ed, will you read page number 3? Are you willing to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rebecca, will you read tonight? Okay. Will you read page number 4, please? Okay. Michael, will you read page number 5? Then Kate T, will you read page number 6? And John, will you read page number 7? Then Newman, will you read tonight?
Not tonight, sorry. Yeah, it's
Okay.
kids running around. Yep.
That's all right, I understand. Katie, Kate D, will you read page number 8? And then I'll read page number 9. So forgive me if I had to leave somebody out tonight, but next time we'll be sure to include those that we will start with, the ones that we missed tonight, and we'll have another chance to do it. So as we are each reading this, follow along the first time, you know, so if you have questions, you can make pencil marks or marks on this text to help you remember things, and there'll be time at the end for us to have a discussion and talk about some things. So let's begin. I believe we begin with Tom.
The translator's homage. Homage to Manjushri, the youthful. The 7 preliminaries for purifying the mind. 1, prostration. To all the Buddhas, the lions of the human race, in all directions of the universe, through past and present and future. To every single one of you, I bow in homage. Devotion fills my body, speech, and mind.
Tom, you're going to read all of page 1, please. What's the matter, Tom? Will you turn your microphone on?
Different book.
Oh, do you have the text that I sent you?
Yeah, yeah, but I was using the one that I've been using with the Tibetan.
Okay. Please start again at the beginning so we get a continuing of our flow of concentration here.
Certainly. The translator's homage. Homage to Manjushri, the youthful. The 7 preliminaries for purifying the mind. 1. Prostration. To all the Buddhas, the lions of the human race, in all directions of the universe, through past and present and future. To every single one of you, I bow in homage. Devotion fills my body, speech, and mind. Through the power of this prayer, aspiring to good action, all the victorious ones appear, vivid here before my mind. As I multiply my body as many times as atoms in the universe, each one bowing in prostration to all the Buddhas. 2. Offering. In every atom presides as many Buddhas as there are atoms, and around them all the Bodhisattvas' heirs. And so I imagine them filling completely the entire space of reality, saluting them with an endless ocean of praise, with the sounds of an ocean of different melodies. I sing of the Buddha's noble qualities and praise all those who have gone to perfect bliss. To every Buddha I make offerings of the loveliest flowers, of beautiful garlands, of music and perfume ointments, the best parasols, the brightest lamps, and finest incense. To every Buddha I make offerings, exquisite garment, and the most fragrant incense, powdering incense, heaping as high as Mount Meru, arranged perfectly symmetric. Then the vast and unsurpassable offering, inspired by my devotion to all the Buddhas, and moved by the power in my faith and good action, I prostrate and offer to all you victorious ones.
3. Confession. Whatever negative acts I have committed while driven by desire, hatred, and ignorance, with my body, my speech, and also with my mind, before you, I confess and purify each one and everyone. Rejoicing. 4. With a heart full of delight, I rejoice at all the merits. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, and the Arhats beyond training, and every living being throughout the entire universe. 5. Imploring the Buddhas to turn the wheel of Dharma. You who are like beacons of light shining through the worlds, who pass through the stages of enlightenment to attain Buddhahood. Freedom from all, I exhort you, all of you protectors, turn the unsurpassable wheel of Dharma. 6. Requesting the Buddhas not to enter nirvana. Joining my palms together, I pray, to you who intend to pass into nirvana, remain for eons, as many as the atoms of the world, and bring well-being and happiness to all beings. 7. Dedication. With what little virtue I have gathered through my homage, through offering, confession, and rejoicing, through exhortation and prayer, all of it I dedicate to the enlightenment of all beings. The actual aspiration. 1. Aspiration for purity of attitude. Let offerings be made to Buddhas of the past and all who now dwell throughout the 10 directions of this universe. Let all who are yet to come swiftly fulfill their wishes and attain the stages of enlightenment and Buddhahood. Let as many worlds as there are in all the 10 directions transform into realms that are vast and utterly pure, filled with Buddhas who have sat before the mighty Bodhi tree. Around them, all their Bodhisattvas, sons and daughters. Let as many sentient beings as there are in all the 10 directions live always and forever in happiness and health. Let all beings meet the Dharma that benefits them best, and so may all they hope be fulfilled for, and so may all they hope for be fulfilled.
Aspiration never to forget bodhicitta. As I practice the training for enlightenment, may I recall all my previous births, and in successive lives through death and rebirth, may I always renounce the worldly life. Training in the footsteps of all the victorious Buddhas, may I bring good actions to perfection, and my moral conduct be taintless and pure, never lapsing, and always free from fault. In the language of the gods, Nagas, and Yakshas, in the language of demons and of humans too, in however many kinds of speech there may be, I shall proclaim the Dharma in the language of all, taming my mind and striving in the paramitas. I will never forget the bodhicitta. May all my harmful actions and the obscurations they cause be completely purified, every single one. 3, aspiration to be free from defilements. May I be freed from karma, harmful emotions, and the work of negativity, and act for all beings in the world, just like the lotus flower to which mud and water cannot cling, or sun and moon that course unhindered through the sky. 4, aspiration to lead beings to happiness. Throughout the reach and range of the entire universe, I shall pacify completely the suffering of all the lower realms. I shall lead all beings to happiness and work for the ultimate benefit of each and every one. 5, aspiration to wear the armor of dedication. I shall bring enlightened action to perfection, serve beings as to suit their needs, teach them to accomplish good actions, and to continue this throughout all the eons to come. 6, aspiration to accompany other Bodhisattvas. May I always meet and be accompanied by those whose actions accord with mine, and in body, speech, and mind as well. May our actions and aspirations always be one.
Seven, aspiration to have virtuous teachers and to please them. May I always meet spiritual friends who long to be of true help to me and who teach me the good actions. Never will I disappoint them. 8, aspiration to see the Buddhas and serve them in person. May I always behold the Buddhas here before my eyes, and around them all their bodhisattva sons and daughters, without ever tiring throughout all the eons to come. May the offerings I make them be endless and vast. 9, aspiration to keep the Dharma thriving. May I maintain the sacred teachings of the Buddhas and cause enlightened action to appear. May I train to perfection in good actions and practice these in every age to come. 10, aspiration to acquire inexhaustible treasure. As I wander through all the states of samsaric existence, may I gather inexhaustible merit and wisdom, and so become an inexhaustible treasury of noble qualities, of skill and discernment, samadhi and liberation. 11, aspiration to the different methods for entering into the good actions. A, seeing the Buddhas and their pure realms. In a single atom, may I see as many pure realms as atoms in the universe. And in each realm, Buddhas beyond all imagining, encircled by all their bodhisattva heirs. Along with them, may I perform the actions of enlightenment. And so in every direction, everywhere, even on the tip of a hair, may I see an ocean of Buddhas, all to come in past, present, and future, in an ocean of pure realms. And throughout an ocean of eons, may I enter into enlightened action in each and every one. B, listening to the speech of the Buddhas. Every single word of a Buddha's speech, that voice with its ocean of qualities, bears all the purity of the speech of all the Buddhas, sounds that harmonize with the minds of all living beings. May I always be engaged with the speech of the Buddhas.
Hearing the turning of the wheels of Dharma. With all the power of my mind, may I hear and realize the inexhaustible melody of the teachings spoken by all of the Buddhas of the past, present, and future, as they turn the wheels of Dharma, entering into all the eons. Just as the wisdom of the Buddhas penetrates all future eons, so may I too know them instantly. and in each fraction of an instant may I know all that will ever be in past, present, and future. Seeing all the Buddhas in one instant. In any instant may I behold all those who are the lions of the human race, the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. Entering the sphere of activity of the Buddhas. May I always be engaged in the Buddha's way of life and action, through the power of liberation where all is realized as like an illusion, accomplishing and entering the Pure Lands. On a single atom, may I actually bring about the entire array of pure realms of past, present, and future, and then enter into these pure Buddha realms in each atom and in each and every direction. Entering into the presence of Buddhas, when those who illuminate the world still to come gradually attain Buddhahood, turn the wheel of Dharma, and demonstrate the final profound peace of Nirvana, may I always be in their presence. Aspiration to the power of enlightenment through 9 powers. Through the power of swift miracles, the power of the vehicle like a doorway, the power of conduct that possesses all virtuous qualities, the power of loving kindness, all pervasive, the power of merit that is totally virtuous, the power of wisdom free from attachment, and the power of knowledge, skillful means, and samadhi. May I perfectly accomplish the power of enlightenment.
Aspiration to the antidotes that pacify the obscurations. May I purify the power of karma, destroy the power of harmful emotions, render negativity utterly powerless, and perfect the power of good actions. 14. Aspiration to enlightened activities. I shall purify oceans of realms, liberate oceans of sentient beings, understand oceans of Dharma, realize oceans of wisdom, perfect oceans of actions, fulfill oceans of aspirations, serve oceans of Buddhas, and perform these without ever growing weary through oceans of eons. 15. Aspiration for the training. A, to emulate the Buddhas. All the Buddhas throughout the attained enlightenment through good actions, and their prayers and aspirations for enlightened action, may I fulfill them all completely. B, to emulate the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. The eldest of the sons of all the Buddhas is called Samantabhadra, all good. So that I may act with a skill like his, I dedicate fully all these merits. To purify my body, my speech, to purify my actions in all realms, may I be the equal of Samantabhadra in his skill in good dedication. C, Manjushri. In order to perform the full virtue of good actions, I shall act according to Manjushri's prayers of aspiration, and without ever growing weary in all the eons to come, I shall perfectly fulfill every one of his aims.
Concluding aspiration. Let my bodhisattva acts be beyond measure. Let my enlightened qualities be measureless too. Keeping to this immeasurable activity, may I accomplish all the miraculous powers of enlightenment. Extent of the aspiration. Sentient beings are as limitless as the boundless expanse of space. So shall my prayers of aspiration for them
be as limitless
as their karma and harmful emotions. The benefits of making aspirations. The benefits of making aspirations in general. Whoever hears this king of dedication prayers and yearns for supreme enlightenment, who even once arouses faith, who will who will gain true merit, greater still, than by offering the victorious Buddhas infinite pure realms in every direction, all ornamented with jewels, or offering them all the highest joys of gods and humans, for as many eons as there are atoms in those realms. To the 13 benefits in detail. Whosoever truly makes this aspiration to good actions will never again be reborn in lower realms. They will be free from harmful companions and soon behold the Buddha of boundless light. They will acquire all kinds of benefits and live in happiness. Even in this present life, all will go well. And before long, they will become just like Samantabhadra. All negative acts, even the 5 of immediate retribution, whatever they have committed in the grip of ignorance, will soon be completely purified if they recite this aspiration of good actions. They will possess perfect wisdom, beauty, and excellent signs, be born in a good family and with a radiant appearance. Demons and heretics will never harm them, and all 3 worlds will honor them with offerings.
They will quickly go beneath the Bodhi tree, and there they will sit to benefit all sentient beings, and awaken into enlightenment, turn the wheel of Dharma, and tame Mara with all his hordes. 3. The benefits in brief. The full result of keeping, teaching, or reading this prayer of aspirations of good actions is known to the Buddhas alone. Have no doubt, supreme enlightenment will be yours. Dedication to the merits of this meritorious aspiration. 1. Dedication that follows the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri attained omniscience, and Samantabhadra too, all these merits now I dedicate to train and follow in their footsteps. 2. Dedication that follows the Buddhas. As all the victorious Buddhas of the past, present, and future praise dedication as supreme, so now I dedicate all these roots of virtue for all beings to perfect good actions. 3. Dedication towards actualizing the result. When it is time for me to die, let all that obscures me fade away, so that I look at Amitabha there in person and go at once to his pure land of Sukhavati. In that pure land, may I actualize every single one of all these aspirations. May I fulfill them, each and every one, and bring help to beings for as long as the universe remains. 4. Dedication towards receiving the prophecy from the Buddhas. Born there in a beautiful lotus flower, in that excellent and joyous Buddha realm, may the Buddha Amitabha himself grant me the prophecy foretelling my enlightenment.
Number 5, dedication towards serving others. Having received the prophecy there, with my billions of emancipations sent out through the power of my mind, may I bring enormous benefit to sentient beings in all the 10 directions. Conclusion. Through whatever small virtues I have gained by reciting this aspiration of good actions, may the virtuous wishes of all beings, prayers, and aspirations all be instantly accomplished. Through the true and boundless merit attained by dedicating this aspiration of good actions, may all those now drowning in the ocean of suffering reach the supreme realm of Amitabha. May this king of aspirations bring about the supreme aim and benefit of all infinite sentient beings. May they perfect what is described in this holy prayer uttered by Samantabhadra. May the lower realms be entirely empty. Words of truth to accomplish aspirations. By the blessings of the Buddhas who have attained the three kayas and the unchanging truth of reality, as well as the unwavering aspirations of the Sangha, may all the aspirations and dedication prayers be fulfilled. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. Well, thank you very much. So please turn on your microphones and give me your thoughts on this.
That was very powerful.
What made it powerful?
It had snippets of phrasings that are woven through a lot of the texts that we've reviewed and spoken out loud over, the past couple of years, as if this was a source for a lot of writing in different contexts and on different documents and in different spaces. And it was, I found it to be boundlessly positive and loving. And it just stayed on that same level, just stable and solid and powerful.
Very good, thank you. Bhavani, would you comment on this? What did you think of this?
Well, I too recognized a lot of the phrases that we've done in our prayers. In fact, I have my little brown prayer book here, turned to the 7-limb prayer, reflecting on the two of them back and forth. And I found the whole thing very comforting and supportive of being on the path and the goals of the path. I really liked reading it along with everybody else as they were reading it.
Very good. William, while your microphone's on, what's your comment about this?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I only caught the first start of the thing in the last 2 pages. So I can't really report too much on it because I didn't get any of the body of it.
Okay.
I was snoozing.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you for being your honest. And maybe all of you, but will choose to use this as a daily prayer. Okay.
Excuse me, are you talking of going through the whole thing here, or just the heart of it?
No, we're going to go through line by line and at least give an outer explanation of things. And, so this is going to take us several weeks to do that.
No, but I mean, when you're talking about doing a prayer,
You recite it from beginning to end.
the whole 9.
Yep. Takes 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And that's how you make it yours. Because like Michael has said, and like Bonnie said, I mean, there's so much encapsulated in this one prayer. This is why it's the king of prayers. So would somebody else like to comment before I choose somebody?
Yeah.
All right, Ed, you got your microphone on.
I can turn it off.
What do you think of this?
Well, to quote William, to be perfectly honest, I found it very aspirational, which I suppose that's the idea. I found it uplifting, but I also found it very abstract. I didn't really connect to it very well. It was sort of lofty in a realm I couldn't penetrate. And I think that probably goes to what a novice I am in Buddhism.
Does it give you an aspiration to want to discover some of those things?
Well, I think so, but I don't have a clear sense of what many of those things are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you recognize a few of those things though from the things that we've already talked about?
Yeah, but I didn't. I recognized I'd heard some of this before, but I didn't have a clear understanding of it. But that's just where I am in my development, I think.
Okay. Somebody else? Katie? KT? What do you think? Have you read this before? Have you recited this before in your background?
No, this is new to me. I recognize some of the concepts, but the whole thing all at once I'm finding it a little much to digest.
Yeah.
I would like to learn more, so I guess that is an aspiration. And I am curious, how would we use this in a daily practice?
It is an aspiration prayer.
Okay.
It's stating our aspirations. So frankly, in my practice, I recite this, I'll do my opening prayers and then I recite this.
Mm-hmm. And then you might go on to do other practices after that.
Correct. But not everybody's going to be able to do that,
Right.
I'm in a position where I can spend, several hours, doing practice, but not everybody can do that.
Of course. No, what one can do.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. Anybody else got a comment?
Lance, this is literally an outline, like you said. Literally an outline of what we should be and how we should be, and our how we should live our lives daily. It's it's beyond powerful. It's I get really choked up when I read this, because literally it gives you an outline of literally how it should be, and it's hard to explain with words, because if you read this on a daily basis, I mean, it's really, really moving, And first time you read it, it's a little abstract. Second time, you got, by the 10th time you read it, your heart will really open up and really, really get the power of this prayer. And I think the 8 weeks that is coming, I think we'll all really, really appreciate this prayer.
Very good. Thomas, how about you? What do you think of this? Have you experienced this before? Have you recited this in your background?
Yes.
Do you have a comment about it?
I think your suggestion to make it part of a daily practice, being that you say that it's only about 20 minutes, is probably a very good idea. There are so many dharmic things that we could do, that we're encouraged to do, that I don't want to say that I would be distracted by this prayer, but I don't want to run amok in Dharma. I want to be focused. So the simpler path that I can walk, the better for me.
Okay, thank you very much. John, how about you? What do you think of this and your?
Lofty and expansive.
Yeah.
So you have to, I think it'll be good going into each section with a little more focus and attention, because it's so sort of comprehensive and expansive that you got to kind of get a handle on it, on that, and not just it's everything all at once kind of thing.
Very good. Yes. Katie, how about you? What do you think?
I think Katie's dissolved into space.
Reemerged. It was a beautiful prayer, and I connected with it, and I've been looking for something such as this for a very long time.
Very good. Thank you. Rebecca, did you comment? I don't remember.
No, she didn't.
Would you say something, please?
I look forward
Oh,
to the
I'll say
next segment.
something. There were, Lance, you were the one who sent section 25 of the Tao Te Ching earlier today, right?
Yes.
All right. And then you saw what I sent back.
Yes.
So I sent Lance back my favorite translation of that work. And I think it is written in a way that is intended to be approachable by Westerners, right? It lacks some of the flowery language. It is maybe in the language of this that I find it off-putting. And I don't connect to things that are lofty and also unclear. But there were points in it that I'm sitting here with my yellow highlighter, right? Okay, that right there, that's good stuff, So there are definitely some points in it, but it's not something that I can look at on a first reading and go, yep, that's my stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Is it worth investigating some more?
I'll hang around.
And remember, these are the words of the Buddha. I mean, this is like reading the 10 Commandments or reading any great book that was uttered by, some great leader, many, 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 many generations ago, so And it's about things that we may have perception of, but we don't have true understanding of, but these things might well lead us to those understandings.
If this were literally the extent of what the Buddha taught, I think you would lose me here. This being a wrapper around what the Buddha taught, I can deal with.
Well, that's what it is. At least this particular sutra, this particular book, this particular part of the teachings that he gave, this is the summation of that.
I enjoy studying this and these types of writings. I enjoy studying this and these types of writings. I think that there's something to this for everyone.
Okay. Thomas, did you want to add something?
Yes, when you conclude, you say Om Ahum, and then you say it again, and you say, in effect, I'm paraphrasing, may my body, may my speech, may my mind be that of the Buddha. You phrase it a little differently, but what I have understood is once we've taken refuge and had some empowerment, that empowerment is of the body, speech, and mind, and it's to emulate and to become that pure being in this life, in our current affairs. And so each one of us encounters a different situation every day, different than other people. So if we have that simple intent, that the actions of I will treat my body in an honorable way. I will not dishonor my body. My speech will be pure speech. My mind, I will have virtuous thoughts. If we can do that, in those three things, we have done what's in that aspiration prayer, I believe.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, good. Good observation, yes. Soho, do you have a comment? Would you like to say something?
I don't know. To me, it's just a word to me. I don't really feel any attached to it. Because I've been hearing this, the classes on and off, and most of the time I feel pretty lost. And I try to understand, but I feel a bit difficulty to understand all the stuff. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I was expecting more like an introduction of the Buddhism, like how it started, when it started, but this seemed to be a bit deep to me. So most of the time I don't really get it. Yeah. So I'm still trying to understand.
Well, we do go around in cycles. So, and it's important to get a stream of consciousness with this. It is true. And we are using several different books. We're using the Jewel Ornamental Liberation book. We're using Learning Buddhism book, and we're using the Stages of Meditation book as guides. So, I think a fair amount of independent, study, reading, and so on is very, very helpful in this. What we can do in 2 hours once a week is very limited. So it requires, each of us to spend a little bit of time trying to research on our own and trying to understand more and so on. But I'm really happy that you're with us as much as you are, and you're here most every week. And just stay with it. And if you need any help with the books or anything, let me know, and I'll do everything I can to help you.
Is there something I can start as a beginner? Because a lot of things y'all talk about is I just don't really understand and don't get it.
I'm sorry. Well, I didn't understand what you first said. That first
I'm
sentence.
saying, is that a way that I can start from somewhere as a beginner?
Start from somewhere?
Yeah, because I know y'all talk about meditation, y'all talk about a few things. It's just, to me, it's so many information, and I don't really connect to any of those.
Well, I've asked you before if you will send me your email address.
Oh, I think I did.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
Okay.
So you can send it to me and try again. But I don't have it. I know I don't have it.
Okay. I can reply the email you sent to me.
Yes, do that.
Is that a book that can start as a beginner first?
I understand.
Yeah.
And maybe you and I can have a conversation during the week. We can talk on the phone or something and talk through a couple of things, and I can recommend and send some things to you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes.
Lance,
yes, I'm sorry, Newman, I was going to ask you. Yes.
I have a question. Are all prayers in Buddhism written down somewhere, or are there opportunities to just pray what's on your heart, that you make up your own prayer?
Well, I think it's both, really. I think there are, things are written down. There's no question about that in different, practices and so on. And as we see, there's many things, and in the sutras, there's many things, there's many prayers and so on. But I know myself, I've written a few of my own prayers because they were things that I needed to flesh out.
Right. Okay.
I needed to identify. And they've been very helpful to me. And they've been kind of a work in progress, because as I've gone along, I've kind of modified them as I've changed.
Yeah.
So yes, by all means, write your own prayers. Mm-hmm. Newman, did you have something you wanted to add to the conversation?
Just a piece of my thought. So I received the email, and they said, you say emails that you send us, they're saying they were discussing Samta Vajra. So actually, from what I know, he is a big deal as a symbol of a bodhisattva. And I remember most of the temple, in the end, they have a Buddha sitting in the center, and the left and right have two Buddhas, which is, one is Manjushri, another one is the Samatapajra. So, so he's a symbol of virtue and morality, and Manjushri was a symbol of wisdom, I believe. And then, well, I think what I know of these two Buddhas is two bodhisattvas on the two sides of Buddha is because we're trying to combine this virtue and wisdom together. So that's the way that we to be enlightened in the end. And then, whereas to be short, I think I read this bodhisattva in Chinese, and then it said it's simply 10 big wishes, and these wishes are actually very systematic, and in the end, it's trying to lead everybody to a Western paradise. So I think yeah, and then interesting, and then I read about this here and there, but never have very there's no actual instructor as telling me how this. I mean, what we just reciting is very. I think it makes sense. I think, and then plus that if we're adding the with their help, and then with the Manjushri's wisdom, and we do this way, I think that's a very powerful way to be enlightened in the end. But of course, it's a long way to go. It's a process. So that's what I thought. And very amazing. I mean, and then the English language translated very well in my mind, in my opinion. Yeah. very well, very accurate, actually. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yes. Gary, how about your comments?
Well, I think that reading this sutra every day and doing that over a period of time, you begin to incorporate its energy into your daily life, the way you live. The words become fuller in the fullness of time as you continue to read them. And the more you read them, the more you think about them, I believe, in your daily life, and the more clarity there is to them. I haven't read this. I've read this before, but not very many times. But I think in reading it daily, it would become less obtuse to some than it is with this. It's very stylized language, at least stylized to us. So I think its words and substance are good, but I think it takes a lot of work to fully get its energy into your life.
Okay, thank you. No, I think you're correct. Everybody was, very good at what you said. And, speaking for myself, I've been around for a little while and I've done a lot of different practices and read a lot of different prayers and recited and so on. So when a new one comes to me, I say, oh, I know that, but then the Lama, I may not say that out loud to the Lama, but he says, I want you to read this every day or something. I want you to recite this every day. And I think to myself, well, I got to do that. I got to practice, I'm really committed to what I'm doing and so on. But then I say, okay, I'm going to listen to the Lama. Otherwise, why am I here? And then I find that every single time, there's something new, there's something powerful, there's something profound that I find in whatever it is that this Lama is offering to us. In the case of this particular prayer. So in the beginning, I said, this is fine and everything. But then I started attending the classes, and the classes went on for like 2 months, where he went through everything. And then he said, I want you to recite it every day. And I've been doing it now for over a month. And it's incredible. It is just magnificent. The words of wisdom and the words of skillful means of being able to become the embodiment of a bodhisattva, to become a Buddha. I'm nowhere there, but I'm on the path. I know. And it's through these things that helps us to do that. We engage through this. These are the words of the Buddha. Who's the best teacher, if not the Buddha? So I think it's just magnificent. I think it's magnificent to be able to offer it to you. And I think it's magnificent to hear your responses to it, that you all, recognize its power and are willing to invest some time and some mindfulness to be able to get more out of it. And that's all that, anybody can ask of themselves, to do that, to not just, say, oh, I don't need that, but to discover the power of this. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. If not for you, my life would be different. And I think each of our lives that are in this group would be different, because, we've formed quite a good Sangha here, quite a good group. And it's very, very good. And I encourage everybody to partake of the teachings of the Llamas when you get a chance. The ordained teachers who really have sacrificed, maybe sacrifice isn't the right word, but they have devoted their lives to the Dharma and to bringing it into beings. And for me, that is the key word of Samantabhadra. The Bodhisattva Samantabhadra is his devotion to the Dharma. So Manjushri is the wisdom of the Dharma. Samantabhadra is the devotion to the Dharma. Without the devotion, all this just seems to just kind of fall apart. We don't have that devotion in our hearts, because devotion is something more than just, the perseverance that we say, the discipline that I got to do. The devotion is heartfelt. At least it is for me. So thank you all very much. So I think before, this first part are the 7 preliminary practices. So the 7 preliminaries for purifying the mind. So, and we've recited these. These are also in our book. If you look on page page 10 and 11 in our book here are these prayers, these 7 preliminaries for purifying the mind. So we talked about this before, it's been a while, but these are sometimes called the 7-branch prayer or the 7-limb prayer. So you have to imagine this like a tree with 7 branches or 7 limbs. And all the practices, all the deity practices, all the Buddha practices and so on are hung on this tree. They all have these 7 elements that are built into the tree. The tree is hung on these. It's like the skeleton. It's like the skeletal frame on which all the different aspects of the practices are hung. So it's very important. So the prostration is the refuge that we take. We say, I'm taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the 3 jewels. And I'm making offerings. I'm making physical offerings. Maybe it's just water, or maybe it's a candle, but I'm making, and maybe it's not something that you're actually doing, but you're making offering of your time. You're making offering of your mindfulness to be able to awaken your realization of that which is in you. You're not, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, they don't need these things. What you do to be able to offer these is the mindfulness connection that we're making to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas so that we become the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. That's what the offerings really mean. It's our offering of our time. It's our offering of our attention. It's our offering of the water and so on. And if you like, we can go through, the offering sometime. But what I think would be really good if this next week, if at very least, if you all can read page 1 and page 2 down to the actual aspiration, and you can go on further if you like. But if you read these 7 preliminaries for purifying the mind, and maybe comparing it to the translation that's in the book here, I think would be very helpful. So we make the offerings, we make the refuge, the prostrations, the refuge prostrations. So the prostrations are, we're prostrating ourselves, surrender is not the right word, but we're bowing, and in Western civilization, it's very hard for us maybe to do that, to bow to somebody else, but what we're doing is we're trying to break through our arrogance. We're trying to break through our holding on to saying, well, there's not something, beyond me, and I need to be able to embrace that by bowing to it. So that's the prostration part. Then the confession is to confess that I've done wrong things. We've all done wrong things. And to confess them to ourselves, and we have this Buddha nature within ourselves, this true nature, and what's covering it up are all the things that we've done that we'd like to get rid of. All these defilements, all these negativities, all these confusions. So if we confess that we have these things, is the first step in being able to overcome these things. And then to rejoice that we're on this path. To rejoice that we have this Sangha, this group of friends, these Dharma friends that we have, brothers and sisters, and that we have these teachers, and that we have these teachings, and that we have these words of the Buddha. All these things, we're rejoicing that we have all this. And then we're imploring the Buddhas to continue to turn the wheel of Dharma. So what that means is that the teachers, so whether they are the ordained, or they're lay teachers, or they're the books, or they're the practices that we do, they're all teachers, and we are imploring those teachers to remain with us, to continue teaching, and to not lose patience with us, to always be there with us. And then requesting the Buddhas not to enter nirvana. So what that means is to leave us, to go to the point where they're not, we can't see them anymore, we can't hear them anymore, we can't talk to them anymore, we can't feel them anymore, that they've gone beyond, they're there for our benefit, but we have to approach them. We want those Buddhas to remain here so that we have more of what seems to be a connection with them, and so that they might be able to remind us of what it is that we need to do. We need that relationship, that physical relationship, that intellectual relationship to be more vibrant for us in a what we might call a real way. But once they go to nirvana, then they're there, but we have to approach them. Once we approach them, then everything, is there for us. It's all within ourselves. So we don't want them to go away. And then finally, the dedication. This is where the real power of this is, this is where we overcome our ego. This is where we overcome our selfishness. That whatever we have attained through these practices, through these prayers and everything, we are dedicating for the benefit of the enlightenment of other beings. It is so important that just those little statements that we make. And as we begin to do this more and more, we begin to know it more and more in terms of knowing it in our heart. We know, we have the gnosis of what that means. We have the awareness of what that is, that we are connecting as the Buddhas, because that's what the Buddhas do, the Bodhisattvas do. Everything they do is for the benefit of others. So we are dedicating the Buddhas and everything that we have as the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas for the enlightenment of other beings. That's why we say, Om Ahung, may my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones. That's what we're trying to do. That is a prostration. Om Ahung, that's a prostration. We are taking a vow. We are taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the body, speech, and mind of the Buddhas, and wanting our body, speech, and mind to become inseparable with theirs. So it's hugely important. All this mindfulness is what we're doing, creating all these images and so on, all these practices. So thank you very much. Does anybody have any other questions or comments about any of this?
Thank you very much, Lance.
You're welcome. So I'd like to do our dedications and take a little bit more time with the dedications. So if we turn to page 18 here in the book, and you might hear some of the parts of the prayer, the aspiration prayer, the King of Prayers will hear in these prayers. So first we do our dedication to our lineage Llamas. So this is the lineage of those who founded the Kagyu lineage. So we recite this on page 18. Dorje Chang, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dormolor Gampopa, Pagmajupa, and Lordri Kumpa. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessings of all the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue, may I achieve the all-knowing state, and may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind. Where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri, the warrior, realized the ultimate state, and as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all the merit for all sentient beings. So this is right out of the book, out of the King of Prayers. As Manjushri, the warrior. So the young man who is the seeker, who as a spiritual warrior is going and overcoming his defilements, overcoming his confusions, realize the ultimate state, which is his Buddhahood. And as did Samantabhadra, the devotion. If it wasn't for the devotion, Manjushri wouldn't do what he did. Samantabhadra is the first of the bodhisattvas. And then along comes the youthful Manjushri. He says, oh, yeah. I've got that devotion. Let me get all that wisdom. I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all merit for all sentient beings. So there again is the theme of the dedication. And then next stanza is, by the blessing of the Buddha, who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. So my body, speech, and mind. The blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas. The three kayas are the body, speech, and mind. The truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, the speech of the Buddha, the mind of the Buddha, and the blessing of the indivisible Sangha, the community of the those enlightened ones that we are becoming part of. May the merit I share bear fruit. So what I do. So then next page 20 is the Dekorma prayer. By the virtues collected in the three times, the past, present, and future, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate word of virtue. So all beings in the dualistic nature of samsara and nirvana, two sides of the same hand. And the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drikungpa Ratnashri. So the great Drikungpa Ratnashri, Drikung is the Drikung Kagyu lineage. He's the founder of this lineage. And Ratnashri means the holy jewel, the precious jewel, Ratnashri. So he's regarded as the great Drikungpa, the founder of this lineage, the great jewel. who is omniscient, all-knowing, Lord of the Dharma, Lord of the Dharma, everything that we're talking about with the Buddha, and master of interdependence. Master of interdependence means aware of all this phenomenal nature and the absolute nature, and be able to navigate all through that. Master of that. Master of interdependence. Continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. So we see the practical, stages that we have to go through. Study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara, the end of our samsara. We can't be responsible for ending the samsara for everybody. We'll do what we can. But it begins with overcoming our samsara, our ocean of suffering. That's where it starts. That's what we need to do. And as we do that, we begin to reveal that our true nature, our Buddha nature. And we become Buddhas, we become bodhisattvas on this path in this lifetime. And then the dedication prayer by Lord Jigden Sumgun. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious kind root and lineage Llamas, divine assembly of Yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yogins, Yoginis, and Dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the innate word of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Maras, and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that, may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones. Who wouldn't want that?
Right on, brother.
Nobody have their hand up? You all want that, right?
Questions.
Yes.
So a moment ago, we referred negatively to Pratyeka Buddhas, not wanting to be reborn as one.
Right.
Earlier, under rejoicing, we rejoiced in the merits of the Pratyeka Buddhas.
Right.
What's up with that?
The Pratyeka Buddhas are arrogant. The Pratyeka Buddhas have attained a degree of enlightenment, but they're arrogant about it. They're selfish about it. So is it better to have that than to not have anything at all? But at the same time, if you stop at that, if you plateau at that, then ultimately
Okay.
you're not doing yourself any good.
All right, that kind of leads to my next question. Because I'm doing this for the benefit of everybody else doesn't feel honest. Right? I mean, it is a noble aspiration, right? Get it. But if the thing that drew each of us individually here is to end our own suffering, it sounds like this becomes a game of put your own oxygen mask on first.
There's two benefits. The benefit for yourself comes from the benefit of doing for others. If our motivation is our own enlightenment, that's the pratyeka Buddha, the selfish aggrandizement of their Buddha nature, of their realization. But when you dedicate it to others, that's how you really get the bodhicitta. That's how you actualize the bodhicitta. You're not keeping it inside selfishly, but you're letting it out. Do you think the Buddha is selfish?
Well, I that's not what I meant.
What do you mean?
I'm not trying to suggest that.
Well, no, it's okay. We can discuss it. But
but I think what I'm saying is that you can't really do it for other people without there being an element of wanting it for yourself as well, correct?
It's true. It's true. And there's a threshold where suddenly, you say, okay, I know what I'm doing now, and dedicating everything I do for the enlightenment of others is the next step for me.
So it feels a little bit like, look, I swear, if I get this, I'm going to share it with you guys. Not, I'm going to get it, then I'm going to strut.
Well, there's three vehicles we talk about in Buddhism. There's the vehicle that is the preliminary vehicle that, is referred to as the Hinayana, which is the basic, which is discipline. We got to have the discipline first. So if we have that discipline and we're doing it selfishly, that's going to get us to this level. And that's where the Shravakas and the Pratyeka Buddhas are. I'm going to get to this level. But then at some point you realize that, I keep getting to this ceiling. That's my ceiling. But there's something else there. I'm not getting true enlightenment. So then the next level is the Mahayana, is the middle way, is the Bodhisattva, is doing this for the benefit of others. So we find that by doing for the benefit of others, we're breaking through that ceiling and getting to the next level. And then the third level is actually becoming a Buddha yourself, is the Vajrayana. So the first one is selfishly becoming a holy person, becoming an arhat, or selfishly becoming a Shravaka, or selfishly becoming a Pratyeka Buddha. But it's temporary. Then the next one is doing it for the benefit of others. And there is bodhicitta, but it will be temporary. But then when we go to becoming an actual Buddha, the Vajrayana, then that becomes the true enlightenment. So I hope that answers the question and validates what you're saying is yeah, you got to take care of yourself first, but we don't want to hold on to it too tight, because we're going to wind up seeing that by doing for others really comes back to us in greater loving compassion for ourselves and for others. And that's how we become Buddha. That's how we become Bodhisattva.
If you are enlightened in a sea of people who are not enlightened, it seems like it would still be a fairly unpleasant experience.
Not if you're a Buddha.
Well, but I mean, you see what I like, that there are things that I have, learned or achieved where, okay, I understand something at kind of a level that gives me some, I don't know, useful access to being able to live a different way, right? And then I'm surrounded by people who are caught up in petty stuff. And it doesn't do me any good unless the people around me are also living in this other way.
Well, that's what you got here.
Right?
That's what you got here.
Right, exactly. And so bringing other people along on the trip is to their benefit, but also to mine.
Correct.
Right. So, okay. All right. I'm just making sure okay. I wanted to make sure I hadn't wandered off the path too far.
No. So is it contradictory to you?
No, this is what I was hoping the answer was. Thank you.
Okay. We're trying to break through preconceptions.
Well, this is kind of similar to the Christian, I don't know what the word is, belief or commitment that I've forgotten how it's said. Whosoever saves his life shall lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake shall save it. I mean, the idea that by giving to others, that's the way you save yourself. Whereas if you set out for yourself, that backfires. I mean, I don't know. I'm just interested in parallels to other traditions. And
absolutely. And we say the essence of all these traditions is the essence of it is all the same: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity.
Right.
So if you want to take this bodhicitta and apply it to Christianity, you want to apply it to Judaism, you want to apply it to Hinduism or Islam, you can do that. I mean, in the core of those teachings, each of those teachings, bodhicitta is expressed not as bodhicitta, not as the word bodhicitta, but as loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity.
But in practicing loving kindness toward others, indirectly, I'm helping myself.
True.
But that's not my motivation. I mean, it's kind of paradoxical.
It's true. But after a while, it becomes your way of life. It becomes your breath.
Right.
So
I can get away with being selfish if I'm not intentionally selfish, in a sense. Well, I mean, come on, Rebecca, give me a break.
And I love you.
Well, I'm not ridiculing any of this. I'm just trying to.
Well, it's funny. Every time I start thinking selfish thoughts, somebody calls me or somebody says something to me that says, help me.
Yeah.
And I say, I can't be selfish. I got to help. Because body, speech, and mind. Everything the Buddhas and the enlightened ones do is for the benefit of the enlightenment of other beings.
So paradoxically, by putting somebody else first, you help yourself more than you do by putting yourself first.
But at some point, it just becomes your way of life.
Right. Understand.
You don't think of it in terms of your own self.
Lance, can you go too far with that?
Can you go too far with things?
Yes.
Like what? Give me an example.
No, Rebecca, you can't go too far with things.
I can go too far with things.
Can you go? You have to give me an example.
Well, I'm just thinking of, people with people-pleasing tendencies, right? Can be picked apart to the point that they're not sufficiently caring for themselves.
Well, I understand your point, and maybe if they are have some self-aggrandizement as a result of that, their ego is taken over, something like that. Sure, you can develop spiritual pride.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's
Well, that's
a
not
trap.
that's not quite what I meant either. Just being look, if I do for other people to the extent that I'm not caring for myself, not out of self-aggrandizement, but just feeling an obligation. If somebody asks me for help, I'm going to give it to them.
Well, that's where the equanimity comes in. You got to have a sense of balance in all things.
Right.
And you got to cultivate that.
Thank you for the extra time, Lance. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Anybody else got a comment? Question?
No, and somebody will say something crazy, so I don't feel like it's just me.
No, it's okay. It's fine. All right. Well, then thank you all very much. And I hope you're looking forward to the rest of this cycle. I think it's going to be really good. You'll enjoy it. And, the purpose of prayer, really looking at that and trying to make your life a better place.
Could you explain quickly what these 8-session cycles are about? I mean, every now and then we declare that we're starting over, but we start over in a different place. Or
well, it's kind of an organic kind of a thing, and I just looked, and the 8 cycles seems to be has worked out from a practical standpoint to be a good point to be able to get a particular point across for a particular group of teachings or something, and then move on to the next thing and keep older people interested, keep new people bringing them in, feeling like they're doing something new and so on. It's just keeping it fresh, I think, and keeping it organic. Remember, and like Soho said, she said, well, I want the fundamentals. I need the fundamentals. So we're going to try and do something for the fundamentals, So we'll help her because we don't want to lose that either, But here, for this group, we've been coming so far. I mean, this is maybe the 4th cycle that you've been part of now, 3rd or 4th,
I think so.
And and we kind of went back and then we came back up again and everything. So just trying to keep it.
I'm just used to a world where you ask somebody if they've had Math 101, and it's a fairly straightforward question. Somebody asked me if I'd had Buddhist 101, or Buddhism 101, I'd have to say how many times or
well,
I mean, but that's fine. I'm not complaining about that. It's just
why I got a plan. Why don't you make a list of the things that you've learned? What's bodhicitta? What are the 4 thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma? What are the stages of meditation? All these things we've gone through over and over and over and over again.
God, Ed, you forced him into giving us a final exam.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't count much of the grade.
Well, we haven't done that, and I don't think it's necessary.
No, I'm not complaining about any of this. It's just interesting to me to try to get.
But take inventory, but everybody should take inventory on what it is that we've been talking about. You've got the books, you've been taking notes.
Right.
Right.
Just think of them as modules.
What's that?
Just think of them as modules.
Sure. You can think of it as that.
I'm not complaining. I'm just interested in how this is unfolding. But
I mean, you should know the first 5 or 6 chapters of the Jewel Ornament of Liberation really well by now. I think. You want to have an exam? You want me to write up an exam? I'll be glad to do that.
No, I don't want an exam. No.
I really didn't want to embarrass you, but maybe that's what it takes.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good night, Thomas. Thank you all. I look
Bye.
forward to seeing you all next week.
Next
Any
week.
And if
any
there's a
questions,
pop
comments?
quiz, I'm gonna